empowerment, agency,
ownership, justice,
systems,
The Africa we want.
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 በተለምዶ የአህጉሩ መጻኢ ተስፋዎች እየተባሉ ይጠሩ የነበሩ በተጨባጭ ግን የዛሬዋን አፍሪካ ዕጣ ፈንታ የሚበይኑ ወጣቶች ከ39ኛው የአፍሪካ ህብረት ስብሰባ ጎን ለጎን ተሰብስበው ተወያይተው ነበር።
Distinguished guests, my fellows, young people in the room. Today's event is titled Gen Z, Political Transitions and the Future of Governance in Africa.
All the investments we've done in the development space over the last decades has yielded a much more educated populace in terms of youth. Our youth today are more educated. They are more enlightened, but they're also mostly more connected.
Well, the Africa I want is built on basically three elements. First part is civic education. Young people particularly understand their politics and their civic duties very well and are able to take ownership of the lawmaking process from the bill all the way into the act so that they're not caught unaware when politicians in ivory towers create laws for them that don't necessarily serve them.
የአፍሪካ ተስፋ ያለው ትላንት ኃላፊነት በጎደለው መልኩ በመሩ ቀደምቶች ሳይሆን ከታሪክ በተማሩ ነገር ግን ነገን ሊያርሙ በሚተጉ ወጣቶች እጅ ነው።
A continent where duties and rights are well understood, where our governments and politicians understand what their duty, towards their populations are. The first of all is a strict respect for the social contract.
In my view, it's actually not possible to expect this generation to be passive, and especially when they see things going in the wrong direction, because they have access to what prosperity looks like.
ሐሳባችን ይጽና፣ እቅዳችን ይፈጸም፣ የምናስበው መሬት ይውረድ ካልን የ1.5 ቢሊዮን ዜጎችን ዕጣ ፈንታ የሚበይነውን ስልጣን በአግባቡ መጠቀም አማራጭ የሌለው መንገድ ነው።
It's only about, a robust system that is able to teach or to train citizens on their civic rights and more so what they have to give the states in order to serve as a glue for stability across the country.
Too often such mobilization is viewed primarily through a security lens, through trouble. But if we really listen, it becomes clear that young people are asking to be heard, not only in the streets, but in institutions.
What we are witnessing, it's not a destabilization phase, it is a legitimacy recalibration moment, as I have stated. This recalibration is precisely why, and as stated in our AU statement, it is what is actually put in the African Union Continental Framework on Youth, Peace and Security, where it directly states that youth are not only beneficiaries of peace, but actually they are the architects of peace.
For too long, Africa has been very famous for having economic minerals and various sources of resources being exploited by external forces or exploited by people who do not have their best interests. And I think that African youth particularly should get more involved in taking stock and taking ownership of their own minerals by participating in the actual economy.
አፍሪካ በተፈጥሮ ማዕድናትና እምቅ የሰው ኃይል የበለጸገች አህጉር ብትሆንም የገዛ ልጆቿን ተጠቃሚ በሚያደርግ መልኩ በባለቤትነት ካልተዳደረ ጉዳቱ እንደሚያመዝን እሙን ነው።
I think what I would like to see for Africa would be agency, if I have to put it in one word. an agency to trade amongst ourselves, an agency for each African to travel within Africa with no restrictions, an agency just for Africans to be Africans.
Gen Z is not the future, as we used to say in Africa, but you are very much Africa's present.
The Africa that I envision or that I want is filled with equal opportunities and also inclusive Africa, and also like the new system, actually involving youth at the front line of change and transformation.
The Africa I want is one where young people have power. Power is placed in the hands of young people, and our leaders do not fear putting power or do not fear anything that puts power in the hands of young people.
On nous écoute poliment, on nous félicite par rapport à ce que nous avons accompli, mais quand il va s'agir de vraiment prendre des décisions, de co-construire, comme il le dit si bien, la jeunesse n'est pas du tout considérée. Et c'est là que le mot blesse.
የወደፊት ውቧን አፍሪካ የናፈቁ ወጣቶች ተሰብስበው መድረሻ የሌለው ዓላማቸው ላይ ቢደክሙ የጋራ ኃላፊነትና ከዓላማቸው ጋር የተቀናጀ አመራር ከሌለ ከድካም የዘለለ ውጤት አይኖረውም።
When it comes to policies, when it comes to data, they always rely on youth. What do you think? But when it comes to entrusted responsibility, we are not there. Even funding, we are not there. And my question always comes, where is the money? And why does not it reach to us?
I want in Africa where youth are not over-consulted and less included. In Africa where that have spaces where youth are trusted with decision-making positions, responsibility and trust.
If you follow our politics closely, you will see that in one of the largest political parties, there's a sort of rift between the old guard and the new guard. And I think the real change, the long-term impact of what those protests meant in 24 and 25 is that we'll see more young people in leadership come our election August next year. And I think this is where young engagement will move from, as the previous speakers have said, from tokenization to real responsibility to real engagement. We are likely to see more members of parliament, more members of the county assembly, and I in particular are very optimistic about that.
Connectivity in social media, we're seeing a lot of young people take ownership and share information from South Africa to Egypt, from Tunisia to Zimbabwe, in terms of sharing what their countries are going through, different cultural experiences that cut across the social, political, and economic spectrum, and figure out ways in which, as a continent as a whole, young people can actually address their issues whilst sharing their stories.
And as we speak, this generation is reshaping the civic space. This generation is demanding accountability, and it is achieving it through digital fluency, social consciousness, and global connectivity.
Being a meaningful actor to change and transformation and not just participant, because there are actually potentials in this generation and also potentials of change and transformation here.
Agency, power,
justice,
trust,
ownership.
የአፍሪካ ወጣቶች ኃላፊነትን ተረክበው መምራት ያለባቸው ጊዜ አሁን ነው።